Xbox podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good, Jamie. Doing pretty good. I'm enjoying the fall weather, and spooky season is in full bloom, and sports are thriving and starting up again in my neck of the woods, and I'm overall pretty thrilled with stuff. How about you, man?
Well, it's freezing over here, so I mean, it's like 90% of the year to us. Not much else is going on at the minute. Just people staying inside. People either staying inside or going out drinking, but still staying inside. Fun times. Anyway, we have a bunch of topics today, and it's actually been an interesting week because there's been a bunch of announcements. There's some stuff that went live just before the show started, and we have the Xbox preview event that comes out later this week. So we'll be getting into all that, but before we get into all that, Logan, what have you been playing this week? Because it's been a long week.
Yeah, I've been pretty much exclusively spooky season mode, and playing some horror games, except for Power Wash Sim with the Shrek expansion. I went ahead and made an allowance for that because I need something peaceful and chill as well. And pick that up, by the way. It's really good. It's hilarious. It takes you through all these iconic locations throughout the series. Like there's Duloc, and there's the funny little puppet show guys, and there's the swamp. There's this honeymoon getaway place. There's the potion factory, Dragon's Lair, a bunch of iconic Shrek places, and it's really cool. You're wearing knight armor, so you hear clanking whenever you walk around, and you notice how in all the DLCs they give you custom power washer
Oh yeah,
that reflects like the lore. Like for the 40K, it looks like you have this diesel steampunk kind of rig set up, and in SpongeBob it's all animated and bubbly. Well, in this one, it's like a sword, but instead of a blade, it's the power wash rod thing, and it they call it Excalibur spray or something like that. It's funny, but really been enjoying that. And then aside from that, I've been really playing Inscription, which just came to Game Pass. Man, that game is. I'm trying to think of how to even describe it. It's like a super dark roguelite mixed with a deck builder game, mixed with an RPG, mixed with a fourth wall sim, and um, just a critique on things. So basically, it's divided into three acts. Act one is you're in this cabin with this crazy psychopath named Leshy, and you have to find a way to get through this roguelite with your deck and escape, beat the three bosses and him. And then Act 2, it goes from what you are super realistic, dark, gritty to some Super Nintendo looking thing, environment, and completely different mechanics to where it plays like the old Pokemon card game on the Game Boy. And then Act 3 is completely different yet again, and it's like a hollow table, like from, the Millennium Falcon. And it has different gameplay mechanics. And then the story is just bat crap crazy. And you have to make a whole bunch of decisions and do a whole bunch of stuff that'll make you squeam a little bit. And it's just super bizarre but enthralling. I highly recommend it. It's in Game Pass. Check it out. It plays perfectly on the cloud, which we'll be talking about cloud again later, but it's a perfect game for on the go or at home. Been playing that. I finished the chant, which I talked about last time, and I'm about to start on Diablo 3 as well. And then this new Night Dive game, which comes out in a couple days, called Killing Time. But how about you, man? What have you been up to?
A bunch of different games. Like, I've been all over the place, and I think people that follow me on Twitter will notice that I tend to post about the same game almost every day until I finish the game. So
Mhm.
like, I haven't had a lot of free time to game each day, so I'm playing like smaller games or more linear games. So that's why I've been sticking to Space Marine 2 on and off, and I'm near the end of that game. I can sense it just by how the story's progressing. It's phenomenal. It's an Xbox 360 game, souped up, but it's amazing. I love it. I think that game and that franchise just has a bright future ahead. I mean, when you have random gamers that pretty much stick to, like, action games, going to Warhammer shops and looking at figurines, like, that that game's actually works. It's gotten so many
Yeah,
people.
it's a gateway drug
Yeah,
game for sure.
yeah. So many people have gotten interested in Warhammer 40k because of this game, and like the amount of games that's already available. There's Diablo style games on Xbox that are 40k. Logan, I sent you that link the other day. There's an XCOM game that's basically XCOM but Warhammer 40k called Chaos Gate. I think it's called Chaos Gate Dreadnought or something. Demon Hunters, that's it. Chaos Gate Demon Hunters, and it's literally just 40k XCOM. It's literally beat for beat XCOM. There's first person shooters like Dark Tide and all that stuff. But anyway, Space Marine 2, incredible. I've actually been playing Everspace 2 as well. Everspace 2 left Game Pass today, and it launched in Game Pass, I think it was August last year. Yeah, I think it was August last year. And I have to say, that's probably one of the best space games in decades. There isn't really a game like that out at the minute. It's a single player RPG where you play as a starfighter pilot, and it's an open, I want to say open solar system game, kind of. But it's incredible. I mean, the flight combat in that game is some of the best in a long time. I put it up there with Chorus, which came out in the previous year. Uh, Excellent, one hell of a sci-fi game. I highly recommend people play it. I think it's still discounted on Xbox Live, so can't recommend that game enough. All day, and it just got an expansion which came out about 2 weeks ago, called Titans, where you can literally fly into these space station-sized aliens, and to take them out, you have to shoot out certain organs and stuff. Really
Oh,
cool.
that sounds cool.
Yeah, really cool expansion, and it looks like that game has a bright future ahead. They can do so much with that universe. I mean, from how that game came about, like, you had the first game, which was a roguelite, and it was one of the first videos on my channel that did well for the channel at the size it was at the time. It was a roguelite. I said it had amazing combat, but the game itself was terrible. Because I'm not the biggest fan of roguelites, and that didn't really suit it. So when they announced it as a single-player RPG, as a sequel, I was like, this is amazing. This is going to work. And they executed it perfectly. And in fact, I give this game a 9.5 out of 10. Like, it is borderline perfect. So I've been playing that, which is great. Fallout 4, I mean, I'm probably going to be playing that game for the rest of the year. That game has delivered to me what I've wanted for so long. I was sitting on this Fallout game for a decade. Like, one of my friends has been recommended to me for like 9 years. Jamie, just play Fallout 4 already. Like, I've been like, no, I've been putting it off for the longest time because of that stupid reason. But Fallout 4 is incredible. I'm probably going to finish it probably January or February time. A bunch of different indie games, stuff like that. But I did get some Starfield gameplay in. The problem with that is that it's such a big game that I want to make sure I can play that game for 4, 5, 6 hours. So, like, I'm putting it off a little bit. Probably get to it like later this week, because I've been looking forward to Shattered Space since they announced it. So can't wait for that. But that's pretty much everything I've been playing. And there's been some stuff I've been reviewing which I can't mention yet. At least I don't think so. Which we'll be talking about on a future episode. Anyway, let's get into all the topics because we actually have a lot of game news today. Now, I want to put this out there for people listening live. YouTube is an amazing website, but for some reason, notifications don't go out to people, and it's kind of annoying, especially when people subscribe and they want to know when that content's available. Well, YouTube's been having issues today, and clearly notifications haven't gone out. So if you're enjoying the show, please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the algorithm out. And as much as I hate doing these little ads for the channel, I kind of have to because, that's how I grow as a channel. Anyway, we'll start with the next topic. So, a bunch of new games came out today, one of them being New World Aeternum. Now, I've been playing this beta. I played the beta from when it started, early September. And I have to say, it's possibly one of the best MMOs on console. It's an MMO designed in such a way you can play it in solo or co-op. In fact, the way it's advertised on console is a single-player RPG, but with 1,000-player co-op. Now, it's kind of a unique way of advertising an MMO, but I hope it works in their favor because from what I played in the beta, it is so much fun. Literally, I just wanted to play that single player. I was running around doing quests by myself, and there were times when I was struggling because there was too many zombie-like creatures, and I didn't, have enough weapons on me, and other people that were just running around came and helped me. And that's the beauty of an MMO. So, you can play this game as a single-player game and just, happen to run into other players, which I really like. That came out today. Again, I think it's probably the best MMO on console outside of, let's say, the Elder Scrolls Online. And for people that haven't played Elder Scrolls Online, that is literally Skyrim 2. It literally plays like Skyrim, and you can play that as a single-player game, essentially. So if people want to get into MMOs, that's available. But yeah, New World Aeternum, hell of an MMO. And I think that one thing I'll talk about that MMO quickly is that you can choose which server you want to play on. So if you want to play with just other Xbox players, you can do that, or you can pick the multi-platform server. But if you pick the multi-platform server, each platform actually gets its own set of rewards. So if you're on Xbox, you get the Xbox green outfits and weapons which unlocked from this week, I believe. If you're on PC and you're in the multi-platform server, you get the red armor and weapons. And on PlayStation, you obviously get the blue stuff. But yeah, it's pretty cool that they actually encouraging players to work together. I don't think it's an MMO that's going to have much griefing because there are PvP zones. And I didn't touch any of that stuff in the beta. You have this massive landmass, which is basically for all the questing and stuff. And the PvP stuff is kind of its own thing in a separate area. But the game has dungeons, massive bosses, world bosses, and the game even has single-player raids. So if you want to play it single-player, you can play single-player stuff like raids. And I think it's really cool that they've made content specifically for single-player gamers, because when it comes to MMOs, this might sound antisocial. I do not want to talk to another human being. Right? I put 50 hours into Star Trek Online, and I ignored every other person in that game. Right? Didn't want to hear from them, didn't want to talk to them. I want to fight Borg cubes by myself, and I did. I might have lost, but I did it solo. But in New World, it's a fun game. If you want, you can be in this MMO and just be a blacksmith. Make swords, make armor, and sell that on to other players or to shopkeepers. It's a really cool way to design this MMO, and I think a lot of console players specifically are going to enjoy this. And the gameplay alone, it plays like a regular action RPG. I think the problem for a lot of MMOs on console is that when they try and tie it to a controller, they try and do too many things with hotkeys, and the game can kind of feel floaty. But not this. It actually feels really good in combat. And I think to do that in an MMO such as this, considering, it is relatively new when it comes to other MMOs. So yeah, I think a lot of people will play that. Logan, do you think you'll get this game at some point?
Yeah, this is one I actually plan to pick up either later this month or next month after I'm done with my current genre playthrough. It looks like a lot of fun. Like you said, it's being marketed and shown off as a single player action RPG on console instead of MMO. And as we've talked about before, MMO is kind of a trigger word for a lot of people. Just like live service and some of these other things, you get a certain notion in your head. Like you hear that phrase, you're like, oh boy, here we go again. Here, here's this type of game. But this isn't that way at all. And I'm super excited to play it. And I've heard great things. You've spoken glowingly about it. I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people that play MMOs are like afraid of them. They've done the exact same thing I've done, right? So a little anecdote from me that I haven't really talked about on my channel or on Twitter. Uh, there's a lot of MMOs on console. There's a lot, and in fact, you can play quite a few of them single player. But I always get myself hyped up behind the scenes, right? I get myself hyped up because I think this is going to be the game I stick to for not just months, but maybe years. And then I download the game and I'm insanely disappointed by the gameplay. Like I think there's one on Xbox called Spirit Forge or something like that. It's a fantasy uh, MMO, and it plays like it plays terrible. It's awful. It's an awful game. In fact, I've never heard of this game since it came out, so I don't even think it still exists. You know, Neverwinter was the first MMO on Xbox One back in I think 2014, and it plays at the time it played terrible. Haven't played it since, but there's only you can only shine a turd so much, and that game did not play good.
That
It
impression.
it wa- it wasn't fun. It didn't look good, and I mean, yeah, it's still around today. It still gets new content, but you know, I think that that is a game that people seriously still play. So they're obviously doing something right. But I think when it comes to New World Aeternum, Final Fantasy 14 online, that's popular. But I think New World Aeternum specifically will be huge for console fans because it offered so much, just for gameplay alone. It has so much personality. The fact that everything is clearly explained to you, such as crafting and all that stuff. And even like the fishing mini game was fun. And I usually find fishing mini games monotonous and boring. I know Jez Corden from Windows Central is not going to like that, but sometimes fishing games can be good in these MMOs and stuff. And they nailed it. So if you've been on the fence and looking for an MMO, this might be it. Now, it isn't free to play, but I think that works in its game's favor because it isn't pay to win. So you buy the game up front once, and then you'll be buying whatever premium expansion comes out in the future. But from what I've seen from other MMOs, the store is nowhere near as bad as other MMOs. Other MMOs are pretty much pay to win from what I've experienced. I mean, hell, I talk about Star Trek Online. That is literally pay to win. You buy starships, right? You can earn them in game, but to get the ones you really want, the ones from the TV shows and movies, you are going to be buying them. Trust me. And that's how that game survives to this day. Wales. People spend an absurd amount of money on starships in Star Trek Online. And because of those people, the game's free. And it gets premium content every year that's also free. That's how they get the big voice actors from Deep Space Nine and Voyager to come back and reprise their roles, because you have nerds online, like me, but not me, going online and spending like £40 on a starship. Right? There's people out there that have entire fleets of starships. And because of them, the content's free. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, that might be a silver lining. Anyway, we'll move on. This came out today. Darksiders 2. Definitive Edition. I'm not going to call it Definitive Edition because that's cringe. But Darksiders 2 has been an incredible game since it came out, and it's gotten better with every iteration. And it had its Xbox One X enhancement back in 2018, I believe. It got shiny 4K. And it looked really nice. However, today it got its full free next-gen upgrade. So it's full native 4K, 60 frames per second. It has ray tracing at the same time. It has enhanced textures and lighting. So all in all, you're getting a remaster that's basically been remastered again, but for free. And I like the fact that as much as we dog on Embracer, basically every week, deservingly so, they do upgrade their games and support them for a long time for free, which I really like. I haven't checked it out yet, but the gameplay I have seen online, it looks really nice. And I think Darksiders 2 is probably one of the best games from 360 that doesn't really get much talk. I'd say it's a very underrated game. It has elements of Zelda and God of War at the same time. Like, Darksiders 2 is a genuinely amazing game. Like, I highly recommend people play it. It's always on sale on Xbox Live. It was on sale for about £5 last week. So maybe wait for a sale, get it, play the shiny new upgrade. But what can I say? Darksiders 2, in my opinion, it's the best in the franchise. Logan, did you play Darksiders 2?
I have not played through the series yet. It's on my backlog. I remember I picked up the Darksiders 3 edition that came with 1 and 2, the remasters. So this will be upgraded via that, basically. So I'll be able to, when I get through the series, be able to play it with the Series X enhancements, and I'm super stoked. I've heard great things. I like the look of them. I like the lore. And yeah, it sure would be nice if some other companies would do fully embrace the free upgrades for older games instead of, you know, pigeonholing and kind of bumping people towards cross gen bundles or having to buy an upgrade.
I mean, look, we can just straight up say it. I think that the companies charging for upgrades, it's a bit ridiculous. You know, you have small developers of indie teams. They are coming out with upgrades for free, but you also have AAA developers coming out with free upgrades. But certain developers are charging. One of them being Rockstar. They should not have charged for a next-gen upgrade of GTA 5. They shouldn't have done that. Sony, they have been notorious this generation where they call something a remaster and they charge full price for it. Granted, they have done some upgrade path stuff where you can they charge you $10 to upgrade, but they shouldn't be doing that. You know, if you're a PC gamer, you don't have to pay for the ultra, mega deluxe, graphics pack. That's just a setting that's there. If we're getting new consoles every few years or whatever, like, we shouldn't be expected to be charged. Like, I understand going from 360 to Xbox One because those games weren't backwards compatible. They were completely different architectures, so they couldn't upgrade them back then how they would now with modern games. So that was understandable. But with Xbox One and PlayStation 4 games, there's no snowball's chance in hell that they should be charging for these things. I mean, hell, recently Sony put out a labeled remake of Until Dawn. Now, that game already looked great on PlayStation 4, yet all they had to do was just give it a shiny upgrade, but no, they put it on Unreal Engine 5. It's buggier and it looks worse. I don't know what they were thinking. But yeah, these companies should be putting this out for free. Again, Embracer, I have my issues with them, but they keep putting out free upgrades. And Logan, I know you said you want to get into Darksiders. I will say this for other people that want to get into Darksiders as well. The first Darksiders game is backwards compatible on Xbox, but they also have the 360 version backwards compatible. So if you have Darksiders 1, it actually runs better than the remaster, because the remaster is 4K and 30 frames per second. But if you play the 360 version, it's 4K 60. So the previous gen version of Darksiders, the non-remaster, runs better than the remaster. Fun times. That's, the backwards compatible team. They're working their magic. I hope they do more stuff like that in the future. But yeah, just thought I'd put it out there because Darksiders 2, what a hell of a game. I will talk about that game all day because it's just so much fun. Anyway, we'll move on. We still have like 50 topics left. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is getting a bunch of new content. It's getting new PvP and PvE maps. They also introduced a brand new boss type. This is going to be basically a colossal sized boss, so you're going to have to work with an entire team to take it down. I think that when it comes to Saber Interactive, like they've clearly said like they changing how their studio works because of the success of this game. So like they've hinted that we're gonna see story DLC multiple times now. In fact, when they came out today with the trailer, it literally says incoming transmission at the end. So they are hinting at possibly 2 different story DLCs. Now, Logan, I assume you have finished Space Marine 2.
Yes, I finished it a while back. It's my current game of the year along with Crow Country. I know they're vastly different games and different budgets, but love them both. But yes, the story's incredible and I cannot wait for it to continue.
Yeah, so I think they probably want to get that content out sooner rather than later. It is getting a confirmed Horde mode in, I think, the 3rd or 4th season they're going to do. But like, I don't really like PvP games that much. I don't play them much anymore. I tried, by the way, Space Marine 2's PvP. Oh, absolutely destroyed, owned. Like, I've never done so badly in multiplayer in my entire life. It was embarrassing, right? I will be haunted with that match for the rest of my life, right? Utter disgrace in PvP for me. So, but the PvE I'm looking forward to. But that gameplay, it's just pure perfection, especially when you get the jetpack. And if anyone from Saber Interactive is listening, we need more jetpack missions. Like,
Yes.
that that has to be the best jetpack in a video game in a long time. You feel,
That with the hammer
yeah.
is so much fun.
And the thing is, so bit of a tangent. The first game has sections like that where you have a jetpack and a hammer, and it's the best part of the first game. The problem is it only happens 3 times. So in the first game, you have this 12-hour campaign, 12 to 16-hour campaign, and you have 3 missions that use the jetpack. And it was so annoying when you're going through an area and it's amazing, and then, your jetpack is out of fuel. Immediate disappointment. But in this game, there was more of that stuff. I just think we want more jetpack stuff in the future because, again, that was just bloody incredible. But yeah, more Warhammer content coming. I think it's safe to say Space Marine as a sub-franchise is going to stay around for a long time. I mean, they're already talking about making a 3rd game. So it's clearly succeeded. And that game, since it came out, has been in the top 4 every single day in the UK on Xbox. So clearly people want more third-person shooters like that. Metaphor ReFantazio has had a huge success. To the point where people are memeing on the people that have said that, maybe marketing with Xbox wasn't the best idea. Well, it sold 1 million units in its first day. In fact, the game was out for about 14 hours, I believe, when they announced it was sold at 1 million units. Now, I briefly played the demo. I'm saving Metaphor for when I've finished some of the current game, because I'm not playing 3 JRPGs at once. I just can't do that to myself anymore. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VI and also Persona 3 Reload. But I did play the demo for Metaphor, and it is incredible. It's probably going to be the best JRPG or one of the best JRPGs of the year. People are calling it the Game of the Year contender. For me, remains to be seen because, again, I need to get to it. But Logan, what's your thought on the whole Metaphor situation? Because it's clearly been a success, and are you going to get it?
Yeah, as for getting it, I've already got it. My copy doesn't show up for a few days. I went ahead and said, you know what? I'll just go all in, and I got a collector's edition, and I'll get it in a few days. I'm super excited. I want to support JRPGs coming to the platform, and this honestly, like without playing it, I can say from outside looking in, it looks like a game, a finalist for a game of a generation type experience. So I'm very excited to jump in and play it. It looks incredible. I've heard incredible things. Can't wait to get my copy. I'll start playing it after I finish all the spooky games this month. And yeah, so much for that. Oh, speaking of spooky, How about that Xbox logo scare, man? How about that? I mean,
Yeah.
it seems to be doing okay. And oh my gosh, you can't even get me started on these guys with this Xbox and Japanese games and don't buy games and these avatar accounts, and it's just I don't know, man. It drives me batty.
Yeah, it is tiring, for people that don't know the Xbox logo scare. I laugh every time someone says that because it was so outlandish and random that happened. So basically, an RPG website last year when the Persona games were announced for Xbox, Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royale. When those were announced for Xbox, there was an Xbox logo, on the trailer, as there is with every other, trailer shown at these showcases, because it's their showcase. They're not going to advertise a different platform. That's how it typically goes. And this RPG outlet on Twitter posted about how we weren't sure if Persona 3 Reload was going to come to PlayStation and Switch because of the Xbox logo scare. And they were memed constantly for about a year. I see a bunch of people in chat coming in. Hey, Anthony, Double Barrel Gaming, thank you. Hi. That Xbox logo scare thing was hilarious because we aren't even allowed to celebrate that these JRPGs are coming to Xbox. It's just scary that Microsoft is marketing them now, which I think is hilarious. And it's sad at the same time. At the end of the day, we just want these franchises to grow. Persona now is a successful multi-platform franchise. Yakuza is a really successful multi-platform franchise. And, we want the same to happen with, Final Fantasy. And, hell, look at Atelier Yumi. I'm going to murder that game's name, by the way, every time I mention it.
She has potion high heels.
Yeah, potion high heel lady. Her game. That game looks fantastic, and it's good that these games are coming over. People get acclimatized to them because, look, I love JRPGs, but we don't get a lot of big ones on Xbox. But it's swiftly changing, and today on Boomstick's podcast we were talking, and he was on about how could Xbox be the home of JRPGs? And honestly, if you think about it, look at all the JRPGs coming. Look at all the Japanese content that's coming to Xbox, and then you have, Sarah Bond was talking about at Tokyo Game Show that there's over 1,400 games in development for Xbox and PC. So, there are games coming, Yes, it is disappointing when the occasional game does get announced at Capcom or whatever, where there's no Xbox logo at the end of the trailer. It's annoying, but it's clearly getting better. And while you do have the FUD online of people talking about how, hey, there's less people buying Xboxes, but, Phil Spencer has said that more people are playing Xbox than ever before. Millions of people are still buying Xboxes. It's just that the other consoles are selling more. I mean, it's a weird situation at the minute. If anything, people don't talk about how PlayStation is second, right? Second's okay, third is terrible, apparently. Nintendo, they are selling gangbusters. They are, 130 million consoles sold, and they're probably going to sell several million more before the Switch 2's out. Everyone having success is great, I think that's why the 7th generation was so rich for everyone. You had the Xbox 360, which was, in the end, it wasn't number one, but it was number one in mindshare. When it came to gaming, people talked about Xbox. Xbox is where people played for multiplayer and everything. PlayStation had a rough start in the PS3 generation, but they hunkered down, they got content out, and they actually had a lot of variety throughout the second half of their generation. And the Nintendo Wii, that was a weird success story because everyone and their grandmother had a Wii, but they only bought Wii Sports, the occasional Mario game, and a Zelda game. But the amount of vaporware that was on the Wii is crazy. Developers were trying to push whatever game they could out on the Wii because of the amount of sales they had. But the truth is, nobody was buying third-party content on the Wii. There was a single player first person Dead Space game on the Wii, and that will never be put on another device ever. It's lost to time. And there's a ton of games like that. Hell, people used to say that the best version of Black Ops was on the Wii because of the motion mechanics in the campaign, right? But all in all, that generation was successful for gamers because the amount of variety we had, all gamers were basically winning at the end of the day. This generation, it just seems like people just want to win, one console to win, and want to push an Xbox out, and that's not right with me. Like, people might say I hate PlayStation. I want PlayStation to be around forever. I want Nintendo to be around forever. I want Xbox to be around forever, because that way we win. And if we get more JRPGs on Xbox, that just means more variety. And it is a bit of a shame that we don't see, big gaming media outlets push for multi-platform releases for stuff, because every time Microsoft's, released one of their own games, like such as Halo or Gears of War, Quantum Break, name it, you always have some person from IGN or GameSpot, Eurogamer, talk about, have you ever thought about putting this game on the Switch? We never get that same energy for JRPGs when they locked off from Xbox, and that's weird for me, but the JRPG situation on Xbox is getting better. People are loving Metaphor ReFantazio. I didn't butcher the name that time. That's a win. But all in all, it's a good time to be an Xbox gamer, and there's more Japanese content coming. And next year alone, I can think off the top of my head 6 JRPGs, big ones, that are coming to Xbox. Some of which are made by the creators of Final Fantasy. We have another JRPG coming to Xbox in December, which is Fantasian Neo Dimension, which is by the developers of Lost Odyssey, Mistwalker. And that game looks bloody great. And that game has been locked off to Apple Arcade for like 3 years, on a platform where you couldn't buy the game, and the only way you could access it was by subscribing to the service. And yet we never heard a peep from media outlets talking about how they never talked about how this game was locked behind a paywall. It's stupid. Logan, I've been babbling on about JRPGs for 10 minutes. What do you think about the JRPG situation on Xbox?
Oh, it's night and day from what it was even a few years ago. I remember I had even written an article about how it was like there was a big problem with Japanese content on Xbox. It was like you'd have maybe Resident Evil or a few other kind of Western appealing Japanese company games on the platform, but there was a huge gap missing. There was hardly any, if none at all, of JRPGs. It was bad, dark times. And now pretty much every major Japanese title is coming to the platform, save for a few, for various reasons, either contractually or it's a smaller company that for some reason just doesn't have the vibes with Xbox right now. But in general, it's so much better. I want to shout out the port begging community. Keep up what you're doing. It's clearly working. I don't care what anybody says. It is clearly working. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Just, let your voices be heard. Say, hey, we want this to come to the platform. Be nice, be respectful, but make your voices heard. And that's how you get stuff done. And so, congratulations, victory. Not all of them are here, but most of them are. And it's going much, much better. I can't wait. I can't wait to play that Mistwalker game later this year. I love them. Lost Odyssey is like one of the most impactful games I've ever played. Like, few games make me emotional. That one actually really did. It was, the story in that game is like hauntingly beautiful.
Oh yeah.
And I don't use that lightly. And it's just, I love their work. I can't wait to play it. It being hidden in Apple Arcade was a crime.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. And okay, this isn't meant to be a jab at PlayStation. This is just honestly something I thought of because of the Apple Arcade thing. But have you seen the Dino Crisis thing that's been going on today? About how basically everybody was so excited because you're going to be able to play Dino Crisis on your PlayStation again.
Yeah.
But then you read the fine print and it's hidden in the PS Plus premium thing, and it won't even let you purchase it or whatever if you don't have that. And it seems like a real punk move. Like, you want to bring this game to modern audiences. Like, is Capcom just trolling at this point? Is it PlayStation? Is it both? Like, why can't the people have Dino Crisis? Why?
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on that quickly. I did just hear about that before the show went live. Locking off games behind a subscription it's a scummy move. Like we're talking again a minute ago with Fantasia Neo Dimension. That you could like. I first found out about the whole locking off thing about a year ago because I thought, you know what, I've really been wanting to play this JRPG, so I was looking for it on my phone, and literally there's nowhere on the store page to click buy. It was just subscribe to Apple Arcade, and I don't understand how that benefits anyone. Because, if a game is in Game Pass, yeah, you can literally go to the store, buy it, hell, even at discount, but locking it behind your service, and that's the only way to get it, that's scummy. I don't like that practice, and for all the people that have whined for years about Game Pass maybe doing the same thing, they are quiet today. They've been quiet on the Apple Arcade situation since day one, because Apple Arcade, they've been around since, 2019, I think? Like, they've been doing this for a long time, years. Hell, Nintendo, was it Nintendo Online? Like, they lock off their backwards compatibility to a streaming subscription service.
Yeah, I hate it.
That's... And by the way, Nintendo fully knows how to emulate those games on modern hardware. Like,
oh, don't say emulator and Nintendo in the same sentence, man.
Yeah, I normally try and dodge that word, but Nintendo, they know how to get those games running on modern hardware. Hell, everybody knows how, and yeah, it's a sticky situation. I will say this though, Capcom put out a lot of surveys, and I've been getting a lot over the past few years by Capcom, and they always ask, would you like to see a future remaster of these games? And Dino Crisis is always listed. So I immediately tick that off, like, yes, give me that yesterday. Hell, I'd take a port of the old games. Like, I don't care. Maybe give it 4K or something. But I really don't care. I want to be able to play the old Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 2, the OG one, that's one of my favorite games of all time. I can't play that at the minute. There's no way I can play that properly. But that's a shame. Hopefully they do get better at that. But yeah, it is a shame that nobody from IGN, none of these other, multi-million content creators are talking about, hey, isn't it scummy how they're locking these games behind a subscription service? Super quiet. Mega quiet. I mean, it's so quiet you could hear a mouse at the end of the room fart. Anyway, we'll move on. And speaking of old games, we'll quickly talk about this before we get into the good stuff. XDefiant by Ubisoft, the Call of Duty killer, is reportedly shutting down after Season 4 ends, if they don't get any more players. I think we're going to have to pour one out for XDefiant. I was in the closed beta for XDefiant. It was not fun. The reason why Call of Duty is the premium shooter is because it plays good. It feels good. When you get your hits on a target, you get those hit markers. It's like a and you see little X's on the character. It's a satisfying gameplay mechanic. XDefiant, it just wasn't satisfying to play. They wanted to do the thing where you have operators, and the operators were in theme with certain Ubisoft franchises, but it just didn't feel fun. And if you have a first-person shooter that is trying to be like Call of Duty, but it doesn't succeed on any level compared to COD, then you failed, right? Does it have a single-player campaign? No. Does it have the map variety of Call of Duty? No. Does it have the partnerships like Call of Duty when it comes to skins and stuff? No. Let's see. Does it have the gameplay modes like Call of Duty? No. It's absolute utter failure. And the thing is, it is important to have competition, but they were directly coming for COD. Even though their creative director said, we're not trying to compete with Call of Duty. Yeah, you were. And that's fine. I think it's good for Call of Duty to have, competition. At least try, but it feels like this was a half-assed attempt, really, and it's a shame. Before we continue, we have the first super chat of the day by Nick W. Thank you very much for the $4.99. He says, Silent Hill 2 remake is awesome. I'm happy to hear because one day I will be playing it. And the thing is, when it comes to horror games, I've talked about this before. I'm a scaredy cat. Right? I am absolutely terrible at horror games, but I do like some Resident Evil games, the older Silent Hill games. Like, I loved Silent Hill 1 on the original PlayStation. Silent Hill 2 is a masterpiece, so I'm looking forward to playing the sequel. Like, Logan, did you get the sequel?
I haven't picked it up yet. Because I assume it's coming to Xbox within the next year or so, I'm just gonna wait. And I've already got enough spooky games to play right now, but it is a masterpiece. I have the remaster with the Comic Sans font collection for 360, so I can at least have Silent Hill 2 at home for a little bit until I can play the remake. But yeah, I'm thrilled it's doing so well, and I'm glad people are having fun. People gave Bloober so much crap.
Yeah.
So much. And I'm glad they're finally, crawling back to him and saying, I'm sorry, you were right, I was wrong. I'm glad they get that moment.
Yeah, I will say this, like, when it was announced that Bloober was going to be making the game, they got this really weird hate wave online. Like, people were actively against it, saying the game's in trouble. And, like, I've played a bunch of Bloober's games. I played The Medium. I played Layers of Fear. Like, they know how to do psychological horror. So, to me, as a non-PlayStation guy, I thought this was a good move. And clearly, it's worked out for them. And they're going to have huge success in the future. I will say this, though. Does Konami hate the first game? Because, like, the first game wasn't included in the HD collection 14 years ago, or whatever it came out, and we don't get a remake of the first game. So, like, am I the only fan on the planet of the first game? Like,
it is a bit odd.
Yeah, the thing is, I think 2 is a far superior game, like, by miles. But I just think it's odd that they skipped the first game. But hey, that is Konami. I mean, they are remaking Metal Gear Solid 3 before 1 and 2, but then again, they could be going in order. Anyway.
That reminds me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, continue.
I was just going to say, it makes me wonder, like, I always wondered why Silent Hill 4 wasn't made BC with the other Silent Hill games. Like, they made the other ones BC for Xbox that were playable on 360, so or original Xbox for if they had a remaster. So it feels weird. Hopefully they remake that one as well, because I feel like that one is a gem that kind of gets swept aside.
Yeah, I just saw, so they did remake Silent Hill 1, but it's called Shattered Memories. See, I didn't know that. I think, those games came out, like the latest Silent Hill games, from 3 onwards. Like, I was just all over the place when it came to those. Like, some games releasing on some consoles, they weren't on the others. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a Silent Hill game exclusive to the Wii. A weird time.
Oh, yeah, it has the girl on the swing set or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, hopefully all those games come back in some form. But, speaking of collections and stuff, another game got... Actually, no, we'll continue with the XDefiant thing quickly, because I want to say my piece. That game's clearly getting shut down. It wasn't fun. Like, Logan, I know you don't really play these types of games often. I'm going to guess you didn't play XDefiant.
I didn't even bother at a thought, to be honest.
Yeah, you didn't you didn't miss anything. It was for people in chat and listening afterwards, it was not good. Not good. Like, I put it like this: Black Ops 6, which launches in like 2 weeks, next week or whatever. That game has some of the best first-person shooter combat I've ever experienced. It is genuinely fun, and that's going to carry forward to the campaign. And when it comes to first-person shooters, I'm there for the campaign. right? I'm there for the campaign, and maybe I'll touch the PvP. Black Ops has all aspects going for it. It has a huge campaign, which I'm there for. And going off the recent trailer today, it looks like it's going to be very good. You have the multiplayer that even grabbed my attention, right? The omnidirectional movement is a bloody game changer. It's basically first person Max Payne. That's the best way I can describe it. It's first person Max Payne 3 multiplayer, which makes it possibly the best thing in the universe. But XDefiant, there was no campaign, it wasn't fun, and there was nothing really captivating for it. And they were wanting to get Splinter Cell fans, such as myself, interested in the game because, hey, there's an operator that's based on, Splinter Cell agents. There's people that look like they came from the Watch Dogs universe and the Assassin's Creed universe. And it's like, as much as I love those franchises, that isn't going to pull my attention away from one game to play theirs because, again, if their game isn't fun, who cares, And I think not launching with a campaign was a huge mistake. Yes, it's free to play, but I think a lot of people would have been up for a single-player campaign, maybe at a discounted price, but it's a shame because Ubisoft are going through the ringer at the minute. They're having a bunch of issues, which everyone knows about. We've talked about last week. It's just a shame. They seem to have an issue with every single release, Hell, I'm still annoyed that they put out Avatar Frontiers of Pandora and didn't market the thing. I don't know what they were thinking. They have this amazing game right there, and the rumor is that apparently they are actually okay with the game performing badly because it let the developers know how to use the engine. I don't know how much I believe that, but the game is amazing. Ubisoft, they're not marketing it, and yeah, who knows? But obviously, we'll talk about Ubisoft again at some point when we have a news update. Anyway, we'll move on. You know what? We're talking about collections of old games, and something got announced the other day, and I couldn't be happier because I don't think a lot of people saw this coming, and this is Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remastered. Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6. I'm all over the place today. Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 remastered, and I did not see this coming from a mile away. I couldn't see this coming because, for people that don't know, Tomb Raider, let's call it Tomb Raider 6, Angel of Darkness, is a broken mess of a game. The game barely works. The objectives didn't work half the time. You would fall through the map. There's a level in that game where you have to infiltrate a museum and you have to get by lasers and stuff. Well, the certain objects clearly didn't have hit detection or, collision detection, meaning you couldn't climb certain objects at certain times. You'd have to actually restart the game to let collision happen. And when you're getting chased on the rooftops in Angel of Darkness, you would fall through the map. So as you're in panic mode and you're trying to escape this helicopter, you would literally fall through the building and you'd have to reload your save. It was an absolute mess of a game, and it looks like they've fixed it for this collection. Like, I never thought these games would come back because, Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6 are... They're not high as rated as the other games, but those games came out in a time when, other developers such as, Capcom and Sega, they're releasing more, I want to say more action-focused games, the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox and GameCube. Games seem to be progressing more, whereas Tomb Raider back in the day seemed to just stay the same. Whereas I think those games can be good. It's just, I think they just never had a chance back then. I love the idea that these are coming back. I'm actually going to be able to finish Angel of Darkness, all these years later. Logan, I know you were excited about this because, I don't think anyone saw this collection happening.
Yeah, I have to admit, I was a bit surprised because when I saw the first trilogy announced, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. The 3 originals were the standard bearers of traditional Tomb Raider, and then you had all the different sequels and then the reboot and everything. But this was the classic Lara Croft experience, twin pistols, exploration, artifact hunting, all that other stuff. And then 4, 5, 6 are to me, they're like fun additional experiences in the Tomb Raider universe. Like the first three are like set the standard, like this is the Tomb Raider story and arc, and like this is the base, and then these are just fun and additional adventures of Laura Croft, and they're fun, and you enjoy them as part of the Tomb Raider experience as a whole. But if they were by themselves, away from the other three, I think they'd be less fondly thought of. So being able to have them again in addition to the other three is awesome. The fact that they're able to fix Angel of Darkness, which was a hot mess, to put it lightly, when it came out, is awesome. And I can't wait to get it. I'm going to get it day one. Aspire does a really good job with ports for the most part. Yes, there was the absolute, whatever you want to call it for the Battlefront 1 and 2 um, port, but for the most part, they do a really good job. I appreciate what they do. I love that there are studios like them who are taking the time to bring back older gems. It makes it where I can replay things or play things I missed before. Like the Soul Reaver collection, I'm going to be picking up as well, day one. Can't wait for that. So, yeah, shout out to Aspire. I can't wait to pick this up. Looks fun.
Yeah, I have played some amazing remasters by Aspire and some bad ones. Like that Battlefront collection. Oh my god, like that was so bad. When I was playing that for review, I was playing against other reviewers, so a good thing for me that they were playing terrible. There's probably people from IGN there. So like,
Hey.
so like those they just weren't fun. You know, hit detection didn't work half the time. If you're playing as a battle droid, missiles didn't work. It was a mess. But their single player remasters are pretty good. So there is that. And, for people that don't know, because again, 4, 5, and 6 were really low key because they came out, at a weird time. Like I said, other games were coming out that were being more, ambitious. Well, you have Tomb Raider 4, which is the last revelation, which is more like the Tomb Raider trilogy games, basically set in tombs, basically much like 3 and 2. Then you had Tomb Raider Chronicles, which is they clearly ripping things off like Mission Impossible in that game. If you play it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then you have Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness, where she's kind of on the run for a lot of the game, where it's kind of not like a Tomb Raider game, but it works in its favour. But the only reason it wasn't fun back then is because it was broken. So that won't be the case with this one. But yeah, cool to see new Tomb Raider or old Tomb Raider games come back. And I will say this: every single Tomb Raider game will be available on Xbox when these come out. So you have the 6 original games, you have the 3 that were on 360. We're not including the Survivor ones just yet. And then you have, the 3 that were on Xbox One, and then you have the isometric ones, which were the Guardian of Light and Lara Croft. I can't remember its name, but
Temple of Osiris.
Temple of Osiris, thank you. Those are also on Xbox, and I think those games are fun. They kind of like if you mixed Diablo with a Tomb Raider game. It shouldn't work, but they do work. But I really enjoy those games. But yeah, every Tomb Raider game will be available on Xbox. I will say this, when the remasters do come out, I do hope that Embracer maybe puts out next-gen remasters or next-gen upgrades, shall I say, for the Survivor trilogy. Because, look, Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider look and play amazing still. But that first game, oof. It's aged kind of badly when it comes to its visual department because, for some reason they didn't apply anti-aliasing in the game. The character is too far back from the camera, so you have a 720p resolution, and you have this fuzzy character walking around on screen. It's a shame because I think the first Tomb Raider game in that trilogy is amazing. It has some of the best Metroidvania elements, in my opinion, of all time. It's a fun game from start to finish, but yeah. Hopefully they do something with that. And, I'm still going to continue to port beg a, Deus Ex Human Revolution remaster because I adore that game. Anyway.
I have a hunch that's coming.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, That game came out 2010. Uh, Bloody incredible RPG. One of the best in my opinion. But yeah, if that was 4K 60, maybe a little bit of HDR, maybe give us the PC textures, that'd be perfect. Anyway, we'll move on. Let's see what next. Oh yeah, MechWarrior 5 Clans is coming to Xbox Game Pass. It releases this Thursday. The funny thing about this game is a lot of people don't know what it is, and I think that goes down to the studio not marketing it correctly. So, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, which came out in, I want to say 2022, it's a single player campaign and a PvP mode, and that also launched in Game Pass. So, with this also being called MechWarrior 5, people don't know what it is. I can't blame them. The marketing's been terrible. So, MechWarrior 5 Clans is a separate new game. It's basically a sequel to Mercenaries, where you're going to have a single player campaign, which you can play in up to 5-player co-op. So, pretty cool that they've designed the campaign that way. There's no PvP in this game. It's strictly campaign, where you can go through the story, enhance your mech your way, create your mech your way, all that stuff. You even do fine-tuning of your mech, and it's got a cinematic campaign. And they have not marketed this for months. They've only started marketing it this week for some reason. And I played their previous MechWarrior game. It's good. Really good. I think people are going to like it, especially if you like sci-fi stuff. And yet, they just casually announced the other day that it's coming to Game Pass. So this Thursday, you're going to have a brand new, huge game to download in Game Pass. I highly recommend people try it out because, again, it's a brand new sci-fi game. Logan, do you think you'd be checking that out?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. It's in Game Pass. I'll admit I'm not the biggest mech guy in the world. I enjoy them when they're mixed in gameplay wise with other stuff, like in a Gears of War with the Mantis or like Halo or whatever. But I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's going to be a good game. I think people enjoy it. I mean, we're not going to get a Titanfall 3 anytime soon, so we may as well make do with what we've got. I know that sounds awful.
Even though it's a core to Respawn's DNA, am I right?
Yeah, oh, I could go on, man. I really, Jesus. But yeah, it's cool that we get more mech games, and hopefully, if it gets enough interest, maybe Respawn will take a peek and give us that third game. I just want to see where that story could go. I will sequel beg that game till my bones are dust, basically, because I bloody love Titanfall 2's campaign. You know what? I'll quickly talk about this because it's actually kind of a big story and nobody's really talking about it. Now, I don't play Destiny by any stretch of the imagination. I think the problem for Destiny is it's very hard for people to get into. Before I continue, we're about an hour into the show, about halfway. If you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. I hate doing these ads, but it's required of me for the channel. It really helps the channel out. It helps with that algorithmic source and all that stuff. If you want to support the channel with super chats, it really does help the channel future grow and stuff. I've got some cool stuff when it comes to like filming. I have a camera here now. Won't go into detail, but there's stuff going to be changing on the channel in a really cool way soon. But if you want to support, it's greatly appreciated. Anyway, so Destiny. It's extremely difficult for new players to play. So I think that's why they're having a lot of trouble because if you go to the Xbox store right now and go to top paid games or most popular free games, shall I say, you're going to see Fortnite. You're going to see Call of Duty Warzone. Stuff like that. At the minute, I think the First Descendant is still in the top 3. These are games you can pick up and play, and a lot of these games don't have stories, so like you're cool to play them. It doesn't matter if you start now, 2 years ago, or 2 years from now. The problem with Destiny is you have this very lore-rich game where they keep removing story segments. They keep sunsetting story segments. So when you buy the game now, play the game now, and you're a new player, you are literally thrown into the deep end as a player. You don't know what to do. The story makes no sense. Now, Destiny does have amazing gunplay. In fact, I think Destiny has some of the best gunplay of all time. The visual style of the game is beautiful. I think Destiny has the potential to be like way bigger. They just have to get their, story stuff sorted out. Well, anyway, it was randomly announced about 2 days ago or yesterday that Destiny Rising is going to be a mobile game. Now, I was thinking this is going to be a top-down Diablo-style game, and it's like, no, this is a first-person shooter first-person shooter Destiny game, which you can play in third person if you want. And this is going to be in a separate timeline, an alternate timeline, and it's going to be mobile only, and it's going to be telling a fresh story with new characters, and it's going to be easy for new players to play. And I've seen a lot of people ask this, will we be able to play it on console and PC? No. I did some digging. You won't be able to even play this on an Apple TV. It's strictly locked to Apple iPhone 8 and later, and certain iPads. By the way, the fact that they have a Destiny game running on an iPhone 8, technical wizardry. But I think you have a lot of these companies at the minute. They're looking at mobile, right? They have this. I can't say it, but they have this excitement for mobile, and a lot of gamers, and Jez Corden from Windows Central's talked about this. We've talked about this. That you have this new generation of gamers. They aren't getting excited about consoles. They aren't really wanting to play consoles. They want to play games on the things they already have, these mobile devices. So that's why they play the Fortnites on mobile, the Call of Duty on mobile. Apex is even on mobile now. So, they don't like the idea of even getting a machine for these premium games. So that's why you have these other companies making mobile experiences. And that's going to suit them. You have other companies releasing full-priced premium games on mobile, right? Resident Evil 4 Remake is available on iOS at full price. Assassin's Creed Mirage is available on iOS at full price. And that's not going to work out. Apparently, those games sold a combined total of 30,000 units in its first few months. Now, if that's true, that is horrendously bad. But anyway, all these companies are looking at mobile because that's where, people want a console war online all day, talk about how PlayStation's ahead and, the Switch is ahead and all this stuff. There's hundreds of millions of gamers. Way many more people, and more growing, because the console user base isn't growing, right? The console user base is basically stuck at around 200 million people. That number hasn't gotten any bigger in, 2 decades? You have people that were, in their teens playing Call of Duty back in 2009 or whatever. They're now full-on adults where they may be having kids, and maybe they might get back into gaming, but those kids are going to be playing free-to-play games. They're going to be playing these free-to-play games where, by the way, if I had to just play free-to-play slop, I'd jump out the window. I'm not playing just free-to-play nonsense. I like my story-based games. But there's these generations of people where they want to get up, they want to play a game, they go to Fortnite on their, iPad or iPhone. The concept of buying a console is alien to them. You're going to have their parents that have a console still. Maybe they play on that. But, even buying games is weird to them. That's why Xbox is pushing Game Pass, because that's an avenue for them to get into those games. But you're going to see more and more over the next few years where more premium games are getting ported to mobile because they want to expand their reach. It won't work because full-price games on mobile won't work. But you're going to continue to see this. You're going to see more franchises branch out with mobile versions. And by the way, I do not like mobile gaming. I don't like it. I've tried. I've played Fortnite and Forza via streaming, which we'll be talking about in a bit, which is really cool tech. But for extended periods of time, I don't want to do that. I want to sit with a nice cup of tea and a controller in my hand. I don't want to sit with a red hot... Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my iPhones that do this. My iPhone gets bloody hot when I'm streaming a game, right?
Oh, dude, it's not just you. I remember even playing Pokemon Go when I was really into that, and it felt like I had live something in my hand. It got so hot.
Yeah, I mean, now you mention that, one of my friends that he plays Pokemon Go, basically every day since it came out. Like, so his phone should be like a nuclear device by now, because phones get way too hot when you're playing those games, and it's just not. It's for me, it's not fun. And again, I tried playing Fortnite and Forza. For me, not ideal, but it's an option. But yeah, these new generations of people, like them hearing that, hey, maybe a new free Destiny game on mobile, that's a cool thing for them. So it is a weird time because, again, you have Sony now putting their games day and date on PC, and hell, they even putting a game on Switch soon, the Horizon Lego game. So like the industry's changing in so many different ways where like people are like kind of scared of like how things are changing. But the truth is, these companies, they have to change. They have to do something going forward. I mean, when you have NetEase forking out a lot of money to get the Destiny license to make a mobile game, like they clearly have an idea. Destiny's having issues of its own, but they're going to have huge success with this free-to-play Destiny game on mobile. Now, will I play it? No. No, I don't want my phone to melt. Logan, do you think you'll be playing this at all?
Nope.
Not as much. I think.
I mean, I have several reasons, but one is it's just not my type of game, and two, I'm not a big Bungie guy at the moment. I'm not a fan of the whole vibes coming from Bungie land, especially with how some other stuff has gone down. It's just like, there are other places I can put my weight behind, and I don't want to support more of mobile of games, especially from someplace I'm just not the biggest fan of.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just think that it's weird because, like, the whole we like I admit I do the port begging thing for JRPGs and stuff because one, it's funny, people overreact, but like it would be nice to see.
They get so mad.
Yeah, they get so mad, it's hilarious. But it's like it'd be nice to play more of these games. But like when I see that Destiny game announced yesterday, the amount of people I saw in like live chat were just like asking, "Is this coming to console and PC?" Like, no, no. And as a previous Destiny 1 player, I would like to play a Destiny 2 story at some point, but that's not an option for me. But maybe this mobile game, maybe there'll be an avenue for that at some point. But yeah, I will say this though. I think for developers that are releasing mobile games, I think they should put them on console as well. I think they should put them on console and PC as well because I can't really see that causing any problems. If this Destiny Rising game is going to be lore rich, it would be cool to play. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, it's a weird time because the game industry is changing. A lot of people, like, none of the big media outlets are talking about this, by the way. Like, it is weird that the console player base hasn't grown in 20 years. Like,
it's bizarre.
Yeah. And, like, I get it, right? In the early 2010s, you had these kids that were liking these games with gems, where you're swapping gems and Gem Hunter or Candy Crush or whatever, and, like, that was what they liked. And, over time, free-to-play elements came in with, Fortnite and Apex and all that stuff, but maybe it's because I didn't grow up with that stuff. I'm struggling to understand it. Like I don't understand the concept of just playing those free to play games. And I get everything is preference and all about taste, and I should be understandable of other people's opinions, but I'll put it out there. I don't get it. I just don't. Like, yes, Genshin Impact is coming to Xbox. I'm actually looking forward to playing that. I know it is meant to be a quote-unquote waifu collector. By the way, before we continue, I do think it's funny that all the images we've seen for Genshin Impact coming to Xbox, it's not of, like, landscapes. It's not of, like, combat scenarios. It's just waifus. It's like they know their demographic, apparently, and that's what they're going for.
I mean, it's same with First Descendant.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as you put fishnets on something, it shoots up the marketing and the sales of the game. Coincidence? I don't know. It just seems to be.
Yeah, it is funny how the First Descendant, like, I'll be scrolling Twitter, and they putting out like marketing which you'd never see from another publisher. Like, should they be putting these videos out? like, is this not a fan mod? No, it's actual developers making this game. Okay, but they know what they're doing. But yeah, free to play, console player base not growing. It's a scary time. It's weird. I don't get it. One day when I have kids, I'm going to force them to play their Mass Effect and Bioshock, right? They're going to play their premium games. They're going to like these premium games. You're going to sit down and play all 5 or 6 Gears games, right? You're going to play that, then do your homework.
We used to be a proper gaming society.
Yeah, like, I don't like this free-to-play stuff, man. It's annoying. Anyway, I've been ranting like an old man for a long time. Let's continue. A little bit of Splinter Cell news. So, the Splinter Cell remake was announced in 2021, I think. We've had no news since, unfortunately. And we have had a tiny little update from the developer. Apparently, the remake is still going forward as planned. It's going swimmingly, apparently. They have said that they aren't changing much about the game, which is the important part, because my worry is that are they going to try and make this open world centric? Because the first Splinter Cell game, it isn't a big game, right? You have one of the missions that's set on an oil rig, and I remember this mission basically from start to finish. You go from the bottom of the oil rig all the way to the top to an office, defeat some dudes, whatever. So I'm thinking, like, are they going to try and make these levels like way bigger, like maybe make an interconnected world or something, because that's what Ubisoft does? And they're like, no, they are sticking to the plan. These games are going to stay true to the original, which I love. The first Splinter Cell game is incredible. Great gameplay design. They did say they are going to modern up the gameplay a lot, which I think's cool, because that game was a bit stiff at times. You'd get caught on at the edges of desks and stuff. You couldn't climb everything, even though this pipe you could climb up the wall and hang off the wall. This other pipe you couldn't. It was weird, but that was the limitations of technology at the time, which I understand. But hey, it looks like the remake is still coming. It looks like it might be coming in 2025 or 2026. Even though that does sound futuristic, I'm honestly beyond caring. I just want the game. Like, I want the game working, all that stuff. So, yeah. Maybe we'll see something at the Game Awards. I'm hoping. I'm a Splinter Cell fan. I'm 11 years without content. I'm starving for Splinter Cell stuff. But there was a leak a while ago, which kind of goes along with this official stuff, that there is going to be a Splinter Cell Blacklist remaster. And I think of all games, that actually makes sense. A Splinter Cell Blacklist launched 3 months before the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out, so a lot of people just forgot about it. People stopped buying it because people just switched consoles straight away. And I think Splinter Cell Blacklist is incredible. It has some of the best gameplay and best gameplay design of the entire franchise. The missions are fun from start to finish. The fact that you can pick your own missions and side missions in a Mass Effect 2 style way with your airship, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. Logan, what's your take? Because we're 11 years without Splinter Cell, and it looks like things are finally moving.
I'm excited. I love Splinter Cell. And that was, the golden age of Ubisoft. And hopefully they get this remake right. Fingers crossed. I can't wait for it whenever it does eventually happen. Hopefully some of that magic rubs off on Prince of Persia Remake 2, because that clearly needs it. And yeah, I'm stoked, and a remaster of Blacklist makes sense. Like you said, it was one of those like tail end of the 360 games that it was too early to be a next gen game, but too late to really push the needle for the 360. So it kind of got caught in that dead zone. So hopefully it would give it its new time in the light.
Yeah, I think people. By the way, when I talked about the Blacklist remaster a few weeks ago on Twitter, the amount of fanboys that got angry at me because I talked about me wanting to buy a remaster. I mean, look, we haven't had a new Splinter Cell game or anything Splinter Cell since August 2012. No, sorry, August 2013. Like, it's been a long time. A long time. Like, honestly, I'd buy a Splinter Cell pinball machine at this point. Like, I'm starving. And by the way, as a stealth
Don't give UB ideas,
yeah,
man.
yeah, I hope that they'll probably listen to that and put out a Pachenko machine. But like, I love stealth games, but we don't get many anymore. You do get games with stealth elements, but no, that's not enough for me. I want Splinter Cell, proper Splinter Cell. Metal Gear, yes, that's coming at some point, but I think that the fans have had enough. I mean, hell, there was so much excitement over Splinter Cell about a month ago because these, the three green lights appeared on Twitter, and the Twitter account activated for Splinter Cell, and they were talking about the Netflix anime. like, I like Netflix's adaptations when it comes to anime. I think they've done a good job. Shout out to Edge Runners, which is bloody beautiful. Like, Splinter Cell, I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna be angry and triggered at the same time. Like, this is all I get in 11 years. A Splinter Cell anime, and I'm gonna be sitting there watching it and annoyed at the same time. But it is what it is. At least it's coming at some point. I do hope the remaster is something that's announced soon, because I'm starving. And even though I've played Blacklist probably 20 times now, yeah, I need that game. And by the way, if anyone from Ubisoft does listen to this, there's this thing in Splinter Cell Blacklist where you can't actually wipe your save and start a new game. You actually have to just pick mission. So if you want to restart the game, you can't. You have to just pick whatever mission you want to play, which that is terrible game design. Some 360 games do that, and I don't know why they kept doing that. So Castlevania Lords of Shadow, if you finish the game and you want to replay it, you can't. You have to literally just pick whatever level you want to play. So to actually replay these games, you have to go to your settings on Xbox, go offline, delete your cloud save on a different platform, then delete the save on the console, and then restart the game. That isn't fun. And that is a really bad game design decision when it comes to like saving and restarting saves. It's stupid. Anyway, we'll move on. I've been ranting. I just want me Splinter Cell back. Okay, Halo collaboration cancelled for Call of Duty. Now, this has been all over. Like, Logan, you told me about this. What the hell's going on? Because a lot of people seem mad.
Yeah, apparently, you remember the Doom collaboration that was in Modern Warfare 3,
Yeah.
where you had like the super shotgun and stuff like that. Apparently, earlier this year, it was leaked now, but apparently there were plans for earlier this year for a Halo collaboration with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 that would have been for a skin and some gear and stuff, and it was fully fleshed out, voiced. It was going to be a big deal, and apparently they canned it for whatever reason, and it's been released now. Like, people are sharing the data stuff from it and showing that yes, it did in fact exist. So a lot of people are pretty miffed and peeved because it's like, look, these are two of the biggest shooting franchises, like iconic, dude bro, like games out there. The idea that you could have had a collaboration with them and they're both Xbox now, it seems like a no-brainer win. Like, the Doom thing was super cool and awesome, and that's a Xbox collaboration. And now you have this, but then you cancel it. Yeah, a lot of people are pretty annoyed. But apparently there are some other people who are well connected with the Call of Duty scene who are saying that it was quote canceled, but in reality it was like pulled and decided that they're going to put it in Black Ops 6 instead, which will be the first launch like directly with Xbox, full ownership into Game Pass, and then you have a Halo collaboration with Black Ops 6 instead. So, if that's the case, I'm cool with it. It makes sense. Put it in the newer one that's about to just come out instead of like tail end of the previous one. But if it doesn't come out and it was just canceled, that's a big missed opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, saving it for Black Ops 6 kind of makes sense because, like, Modern Warfare 3, like, that's had a weird run because you basically had this new content for Modern Warfare 3. Then they start putting a bunch of Modern Warfare 2 content in 3, which that was a good choice in my opinion. It was right by fans. But like I think Black Ops, people have been excited for something new. Black Ops plays better. It's different. The maps are different, and honestly, the gameplay is just way much better than regular COD, which is already good. So putting a premium skin like that, like Halo, in the new one, that makes sense. I mean, they going all out with marketing for this. So if you tie a Master Chief, skin, that makes sense. It really does. And like, look, I put it like this: when I play Warzone Resurgence with one of my friends, do you have any idea how many Homelanders are running around? People are dressed up. They're either Homelander or Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead. Like everywhere. So like I daren't even think about how much money Activision made off just Homelander skins alone. So like if you put like a really good Master Chief outfit in there, that's gonna sell a lot. And I know skins can be scummy and all this stuff, and I don't even like microtransactions. I could tell you a lot of people will be running around as Master Chief. A lot.
100%.
Yeah. And like as someone that doesn't like skins, let me tell you, if they put an N7 armor outfit in the new Call of Duty multiplayer, I'm getting out the credit card. Like I'm N7 and up my suit. I'm buying all those skins because I'm just God, I'm a sellout for that bloody Mass Effect franchise. But yeah, I think they'll save it for Black Ops 6. I mean, this game has so much hype behind it; it's unreal. Like I get Call of Duty every year just for the campaign, right? I'm one of those people. I'm one of them. The 1%ers, right? That buy this full price $70 game for an 8-hour campaign. Thankfully this is going to be a bigger campaign, but I mean, you have level based zombies back. The multiplayer, like I put it as multiplayer has changed in the past with Call of Duty with jetpacks and stuff. The omnidirectional movement is such a bigger jump in gameplay than jetpacks. Like, it changes everything. It changes speed, changes reaction time. Every aspect of Call of Duty gameplay is changed because of omnidirectional movement. And I think a lot of people that are like me that thought it might play weird, the fact that you can run in any direction, game changer. Especially for me. Like, I'm actively better at Black Ops 6 beta multiplayer than I am at Modern Warfare 3, which I've been playing for a year. Right? That says it all. And I'm sure in time I'll just get worse as other people get better. That's bound to happen. But it's going to be a huge game. Black Ops has been a long time coming. There's a segment of the Call of Duty fandom that only like to buy and play Black Ops. They just play differently. The campaigns are different. And honestly, I think that if you want a war story, you go with Black Ops. Modern Warfare, perfectly fine story, but it's not on Black Ops' level. And considering how short Modern Warfare 3 was, my God. By the way, Logan, did you play Modern Warfare 3's campaign?
No, I haven't, but I know it was an expansion that they decided to just bump and prop up the price and release as a full game, even though it's basically Modern Warfare 2.5.
Yeah, like when that game's beta was out, it was listed in the PC files as Modern Warfare 2. Like, they didn't even bother to change it. And the campaign, there's a campaign, but so in Call of Duty, the campaign is listed in chapters. There's an actual chapter in Modern Warfare 3 where you load into this chapter and you literally walk across a park and talk to someone, and that's it. That's the chapter. right? So they even padded out the chapter selection screen with just random segments of the game. But thankfully, this is a full-on campaign. I think a lot of people are going to have fun with it, and I'd be shocked if we don't see Master Chief in the campaign. Sorry, in the multiplayer skins. Within the first.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be. It would make no sense, but I'd like to see it. But yeah, it looks like we might still see that stuff in Black Ops 6. XCloud. Now, a lot of people have been waiting for this, the ability to play your owned games in the cloud. Now, again, if you're just sticking to Game Pass stuff, like that's very limiting. Yes, there's a lot of cool games in Game Pass, but it's a big deal considering Xbox has grown in Asia slowly and steadily. But the fact that you're going to be able to play everything you own, and granted, some publishers are going to have to sign off on it, but I think most publishers will be okay with it, unless they are Take-Two titles. I don't think Take-Two is going to want any part of this at all, because they are a scummy company. But this is good news. That means you're going to be able to play things like Elden Ring on your phone if you own it, or, I don't know, Alien Isolation, anything basically. But this is a good sign for things going forward, especially considering, you have the Amazon Fire TV Stick thing. You're going to be able to play your games on there. It's just another option for players, really. Like, Logan, I know you were looking forward to this, but it's actually a big deal.
Yeah, I've been really, really looking forward to this as someone who has held off of buying a Steam Deck, even though I like the idea of one a lot, because I've been waiting for Xbox to make their inevitable handheld console within the next few years. So I have a LG Cloud device that I use. I love it. I definitely recommend it. That they have them on Amazon, and I, I I love it. But it's only been allowing me to play Game Pass titles. So now being able to play my library going forward from approved publishers is a real game changer, because the idea that sometimes I can't be where my big TV is, or I need to be where I can use Wi-Fi or whatever, but not have access to my traditional console. The fact that I can play those games on on the go, or in on a handheld device is awesome. Like, their Vampire Survivors has been perfect for that. Inscription has been perfect for that. Like, Pixel Remasters isn't in Game Pass, but that would be perfect for it. It's stuff like that. And the idea of being able to do that makes me very happy. Like you said with Take Two, there are definitely some companies I can think of off the top of my head that'll be like, yeah, no, that's too pro consumer. I ain't doing that. Um, but I think most will. I think indie companies, as a word of advice, I think this would be a very smart idea for them to opt in,
Yeah.
because a lot of people will pick up games if they can play it on the go as well. And some it's weird, but I almost prefer a Metroidvania on a on the go experience than on my TV. I don't know how to explain it, but like the classic ones, like like the like a Super Metroid or Castlevania, like those. Like, something about them on a handheld device just feels right. But a Jedi Survivor, which has Metroidvania elements, feels better on the TV, because it's like this huge, massive experience that has those exploration elements, but it's not like the side scroller Metroidvania. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for it. There's that showcase on Thursday, and they said they're gonna have some other things there that aren't just the four titles they revealed. So maybe they have some more information on that. That would be cool. And another thing, Xbox, please. Surely Ubi isn't demanding an arm and a leg for the rights for Diablo 4 on cloud when it's already in Game Pass. why is it not on cloud, like in Game Pass as well? You've got Crash Trilogy, you've got the 3 Call of Duties that are about to be there. You've you've got all these other things, but for some reason a game that's first party that you already have in Game Pass you don't have the cloud rights for. Like, come on now. Diablo is a perfect game franchise for that mobile type experience. So I know I'm not the only one who wants that. It and Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, once they hit Game Pass, would be no brainers for cloud.
Yeah, no, it's funny you mention that because when I talked about this on Twitter a few days ago, the first comment I got was actually talking about Diablo 4 in the cloud. So there's clearly people wanting this. Like I'm playing Diablo 4 at the minute. By the way, I don't know if I've got my class set up incorrectly. I'm playing as a sorcerer that looks just like a clown. I'm struggling. Like you're fighting these minotaur looking things in the snow all the time, and I'm just getting wrecked. But anyway, Diablo 4, it's such a fun game. Like I think Diablo 4 is amazing. But like you said, that game is perfect for like streaming and on a mobile, especially. So like hopefully they get that sorted because out of all the games they have, Diablo is probably the best suited for mobile, considering how easy it is to play that game when it comes to controls. Hopefully we'll see that added. But yeah, it's good to see that owned games are coming, and who knows? I actually own Diablo 4, so I'll try the streaming thing with that if it works. Hopefully it works and added soon. But yeah, it's a good thing for gamers because it's just more options. And like I said, Asia is like picking up steam when it comes to like handheld and streaming. And we don't even know what Xbox is doing next generation with their handheld. Jez Corden from Windows Central, he's basically said like next gen, and we predicted this as well, that next gen they go on with a main console like a Series X, and they go on with a handheld as well. And
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
yeah, I think I think Sarah Bond mentions handheld almost every single time they talk about the future. So it's like I think they're laying some breadcrumbs for us to follow. And look, I'm picking up what they're putting down. I think the idea of an Xbox handheld sounds great, and who knows? I'm guessing we're going to have the ability to play games not just natively on that, but maybe via streaming. Maybe you want to play games and not download them. But I think that's really cool, and it's just another option for people. But yeah, I'd be really shocked if we don't see that happen in the next 2 years. I mean, hell, we basically already know next gen's launching in 2026. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Anyway, we'll continue. So Xbox announced that their partner preview is this Thursday. Exciting times because look, Xbox last October, they also had a game preview event, partner preview, where we actually got Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta gameplay. So like that was huge for me because I've been waiting a long time for this game, and like seeing that in motion, that was huge, especially considering people thought they had a marketing deal with PlayStation, and it was there. Last time we had a bunch of Game Pass announcements, but Microsoft did come out and say this partner preview is going to have new announcements, release date announcements, and new trailers and surprises. So, I mean, pie in the sky. And obviously, there's not going to be any first party stuff. That was a lot of things I was seeing on Twitter, by the way. People were expecting first party content at this show. Like, it's strictly third party.
Don't expect Everwild, I don't think.
No. Maybe in like a January, direct type thing. But I think that there's potential to see anything here. I mean, there's a bunch of games launching in 2025, which we still haven't seen anything about. Borderlands 4 was announced a few months ago, and we've seen nothing. Nothing about that, and it launches next year. Mafia: The Old Country, which I cannot wait for, but we still have nothing on that game. That launches next year. And also Judas. Judas by the BioShock creator Ken Levine. His brand new game. That launches by March, according to Take-Two. So, like, who... Actually, I think it is Take-Two that's publishing that. But whoever's publishing that, that's meant to release by March. So, like, it should be crazy. You have Exodus by former BioWare developers. Their game looks really good, and they keep talking about it and showing us little clips. And I can't imagine that game being that far out. Like, there's potential for some really interesting things here. And I went over the blog post of the previous game partner previews by Microsoft, and they did mention surprises, but it looked like they really emphasized it when it comes to this show. Logan, what are you expecting? What do you predict that's going to be at the show?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Like, for one thing, like Alan Wake 2 is gonna be there, so I'm already happy and seated. Like, all right, let's go. Alan Wake 2. Like, I know a lot of people picked Baldur's Gate 3 for their game of the year. Alan Wake 2 was my personal pick. I love it so much. I waited for that game for so long. I love the Wake universe with Alan Wake, Control. Max Payne will go ahead and throw in there, even though
Yeah.
it's kind of they had to twist some things around, but essentially Max Payne is kind of in it. And Quantum Break and everything. I'm excited to see the Lake House DLC. Can't wait for that. Continue the story. If it's anything like Alan Wake 2 main story, it's going to be incredibly dark and incredibly thrilling and gripping, and I just can't wait for that. Then there's the Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, which that game, when they first showed it off, really got my attention. Something about it is just like really pretty, but also dark and kind of grimy at the same time, which sounds odd to put those together, but I like it. And with Sony having, Wukong, Black Myth, basically on lock for a while for reasons, this is Xbox's answer, and I'm looking forward to it. I think the boss reveal that they're gonna have is gonna be really cool. Can't wait to play it, support it on the platform. Looks awesome. There's gonna be, I know some other games they've already announced are gonna have updates there. And as for surprises, it wouldn't shock me if there's some, smaller indie titles that get revealed, like have a brand new world debut, or there's some updates on, this would be a good time for, I can't remember what it was, like replaced or some stuff like that to give some more updates on, because it's like, hey, we're still coming to the platform, but we're still a ways out. Some stuff like that, and maybe some more cloud information because it's coming in November. It's a partner preview, so I doubt it, but I would love it if they dropped a BC batch. That's a pie in the sky hopium for me probably, but that would make me very happy. But overall, they emphasize surprises, so I think there's going to be some nice, pleasant surprises. A Final Fantasy 16 would be cool if they did it. If it was ready then, but not at Tokyo Game Show, that would be cool. I I don't know. I expect good things. I don't expect anything crazy like melt your face off, like oh my gosh, Xbox is back type things. But I think it will be a nice event.
Yeah, I will say I do think the final, like, like is this copium? Maybe. Who cares? Like, I think Final Fantasy 16 has a chance of being there simply because, like, we keep hearing it's coming. Like, if you weren't going to show it at TGS, when are you going to show it? The Game Awards? Possible. But, like, honestly, if I was Microsoft, I wouldn't want to be forking out, what, $250,000 for 30 seconds? Like,
The Keeley Foundation, yeah.
yeah, like why keep giving him money when you can promote your own show? And I think maybe that's just a better move. But I think them to have multiple JRPGs spread across different showcases, that just be a better way to do it. One, it's a win, and two, I just want it to happen. The thing is, like, we've been hearing like for what close to a year that 16 is coming, and the what Final Fantasy 16 launched on PlayStation 5 last year, so it's been a year. All the DLC's out. Like they're not going to make any additional money off the game. Yes, they have the PC version that I think that came out last month. They have to obviously fix that because it still has its issues. But I think 16 could be a big thing there. Last year I think I wrote down the list of the games shown, but like last year we got big Game Pass announcements. Let me see if my phone's actually gonna act up. But last year we got gameplay.
Wasn't Vision? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, wasn't Visions of Mana originally debuted at one of these things?
Yeah. Trying to see what else we have. Okay, last year they showed Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth gameplay, Dungeons of Hinterberg, fun game by the way. The finals gameplay, Mana Lords. Oh, by the way, about Mana Lords, that game is coming to Xbox consoles. We just need a date. But considering how complex that game is, and that was a surprise hit on PC this year, so that's going to be huge when it comes to console. But yeah, last year we got Spirit of the North, Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta gameplay. They announced Ark Survival Ascended. We got Alan Wake 2 gameplay last year. They also showed off a new gameplay trailer for Still Wakes the Deep and RoboCop Rogue City. So last year we got a pretty good show. Basically, they showed off a bunch of new gameplay and Game Pass announcements. And whatever they show off, I mean, I can imagine it being Game Pass stuff. Microsoft's heavily leaning into Game Pass. Well, they have been for a while, but I think them wanting more titles associated with the service is going to happen, because if you go back and look at Gamescom and their summer showcase, like huge titles were announced for Game Pass. Sniper Elite Resistance. That's going to be a huge game. Atomfall. That's going to be a huge game next year as well. Both of those games launch next year, no release date. So I'm guessing we could possibly see something from them, because again, those are Game Pass titles. We also have Claire Obscure's Expedition 33. By the way, can the developers just call it Expedition 33, please? But that's also launching in Game Pass. So I think it's going to be a great show. I just think that, if people are expecting GTA 6, like, maybe not. Maybe no first-party stuff or any hardware. If anything, if we do get hardware, it's going to be third-party stuff like the new wireless earbuds by SteelSeries, which I'm very much interested in. But it looks like
or a new pink controller.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, who knows? There's so many different companies making controllers at the minute, and now that you mention that, third-party developers are allowed to make wireless protocol controllers now. So that's a win for everyone. But hey, there's something telling me that we're going to see some JRPG at this show. Maybe it's Final Fantasy, maybe it's not. Maybe it's Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, which got a new trailer, I think, yesterday. Looks phenomenal, by the way. Voice acted, which I didn't know. So that's something new for that game. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very good day for people. Just lots of variety. And that is coming on, this Thursday, and it's 6 p.m. 6 p.m. UK time, which I believe that's 1 p.m. Eastern in the US. So hey, good time for me. Maybe not for people in the US, because a lot of people will be at work then. But yeah, good show. I think it's going to be good for everyone. Logan, have you got anything else to say before we close out the show?
Speaking of JRPGs and Square Enix and everything, do you think Forspoken will actually come to Xbox? I saw that on sale, and it made me think about it for a minute. I was like, remember how this had like a 2-year exclusivity or something at one point? And everybody made jokes about like the dialogue and some of the stuff. But I've heard a few good things, like, now that they have a good relationship, I wonder if that one would show up eventually.
Man, the funny thing is, when they first announced Forspoken, a lot of people thought it was a Final Fantasy game.
It looks kind of like it.
Yeah, it kind of had that like same world vibe to it, but I mean, with the memes and how it performs, like I honestly can't see Like, I haven't played it, so I don't have an opinion on it. But after what happened with that game, I can't really see that happening. I mean, who knows? It really depends. Like, did they start an Xbox port beforehand? Because if they were going to make an Xbox version, I can't imagine them waiting until the exclusivity period was up. I really don't know. Who knows? Maybe we do. But again, I haven't played the game, so I have no idea. It will be weird because, like, out of all the games, like, a lot of games get memed now, like, the second they come out, whether it's good or bad, funny or not. I think memeing of games can sometimes kill a game, you know. Like, I'll use, like, Halo Infinite as an example. I think Halo Infinite's campaign is pretty amazing. The amount of people that used Craig to try and tarnish Halo, I'm doing air quotes, tarnish Halo as a franchise, like, that was all over the place. That was a meme. It was clickbait. It was used in media material for a long time. And by the way, as someone that makes GIFs for Twitter, let me tell you, for people to find that specific Craig picture, you had to literally go frame by frame during an animation. Like, they had to find a very specific frame for that. It wasn't just a static motion of a character. Like, someone literally went frame by frame during that swing animation by the Brute and found that image, right? That's why I've always thought that was stupid, by the way, because people are memeing on what that character looked like, Craig, but they didn't really realize, like, the fanboy that found that very specific shot scrubbed frame by frame. So they wouldn't have done it on their phone. They'll have had to go into some video editing software and literally scrub through the video, right? That's bloody sad, by the way. But we say this for games all the time now. It is annoying. If it's for a game you like or not, it's just annoying at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. It just depends because I believe the developers got absorbed by different studios. So unless someone else ports it, I'm not so sure. But yeah, who knows? We'll find out this Thursday. It should be an interesting day for everyone. But again, everyone in chat has been amazing today. No nonsense whatsoever. I will say this, on social media, people can be a bit stalkerish. like I try not to bring it up too much, but like I love how the chat on here, everyone's normal, everyone's cool, because like on Twitter, it's a festering pot of just stuff I can't say on this channel. People are just like awful online all the time, but my chat, very nice. Everyone's super chill. But yeah, we'll be back for a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast, usual time next Tuesday. Depending on what my schedule's like, I might live stream the Xbox partner preview. It's just Microsoft and all these showcases can be a bit weird when it comes to licensed music. So we'll see what happens with that. I'll keep everyone updated on Twitter. I should have another video out this week, depending on what happens. But again, everyone in chat has been amazing. We're out, everybody. Peace. You know what? I just said peace and my mouse stopped working. Isn't that awkward? Bloody hell. Here we go. Something had to go wrong. Your mic has worked perfectly fine this week, Logan, which is great. But like my mouse throughout this entire podcast, I can't even speak. My brain has turned into mush. My mouse has barely worked throughout this entire podcast.
I'm sorry. I guess the energy has transferred.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's terrible. Anyway, I'm sure everyone listening has a working mouse. I'm annoyed at my mouse. Anyway, we'll continue. We'll be back next week. Peace, everybody.